Before the world went quiet, before batteries replaced pistons, before every supercar started chasing silence and efficiency, there was one last scream, one final roar, one unfiltered expression of rage, speed, and soul. It came from Italy, not from a whispering future, but from a fire-breathing past. 12 cylinders, 6.5 liters of volcanic power. No turbos, no hybrids, just pure mechanical thunder. This wasn't just a carrot, it was a statement. A rolling rebellion against compromise. A machine that didn't care about comfort or convention. It existed to dominate, to dazzle, to terrify. The Aventador didn't evolve, it erupted. When it launched in 2011, it wasn't just Lamborghini's new flagship, it was a legend reborn. Angular, violent, impossible to ignore. The spiritual successor to the Miura, the Countach, the Diablo, and the Murcielago, but somehow even more insane. For over a decade, the Aventador ruled the road and the screen. In music videos, in Hollywood, in every young gearhead's poster wall and video game garage. This isn't just the story of a car. This is the last pure V12 supercar Lamborghini ever made. This is the story of the Aventador. After the curtain closed on the Murcielago, Lamborghini stood at a crossroads. The world was changing faster, cleaner, quieter. Supercars were turning digital, softer, smarter. But Lamborghini had no intention of softening the blow. They had one goal: build the ultimate expression of their DNA. Brutal power, radical design, no compromise. This wouldn't be a simple upgrade. It had to be a revolution. A machine that would honor the company's legendary V12 heritage and kick the door down into a new era. The mission: start from scratch. New chassis, new engine, new transmission, everything rebuilt from the ground up. What emerged was a car that carried the soul of a raging bull, just meaner, sharper, and louder than ever before. But it needed a name. Not just any name. They chose Aventador. Named after a legendary Spanish fighting bull that earned fame for its courage in battle, Aventador wasn't just a name platate, was a declaration. A symbol of ferocity, strength, and untamed spirit. Just like the beast it was named after, this car wouldn't back down. To create a car that looked like the future Lamborghini turned to the minds at Central Style. Leading the charge, Filippo Perini, a man obsessed with turning speed into sculpture. Every line, every surface, every shadow on the Aventador wasn't just drawn, it was carved with intent. The result? A machine that didn't whisper speed, it screamed it. Hexagonal shapes dominated the design, inspired by stealth jets and Formula One tech. The front looked like it could cut through steel, the rear like the afterburner of a fighter plane. And, of course, the doors. Scissor doors. No Lamborghini flagship would be complete without them. Dramatic, iconic, unmistakable. But beneath the wild, styling was cutting-edge substance. The Aventador's heart sat inside a full carbon fiber monocoque, chassis rigid, lightweight, race-ready. It wasn't just strong, it was aerospace strong. Then came the active aerodynamics, a rear wing that rose and adjusted with speed and braking, vents that opened and closed depending on temperature. Everything had a purpose. Everything worked to keep the car planted, cool, and angry. Wide, low, sharp, and unapologetically aggressive, the Aventador wasn't just styled to be seen. It was engineered to dominate. At the heart of the Aventador was a monster. A naturally aspirated 6.5-liter V12 engine that didn't whisper performance, it roared it. No turbos, no electrification, just pure mechanical fury. It was all new, not borrowed, not revised. This wasn't some reworked relic from the past. It was a clean sheet design, the most powerful production engine Lamborghini had ever built when it launched. 700 horsepower, 509 lb-ft of torque, and a red line that sang past 80 RPM like a symphony of thunder. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, just 2.9 seconds. Top speed, over 350 kilometers, that's 217 mph, and it delivered it all with the kind of drama only a V12 can create. A banshee wail rising behind your head, snarling through the gears. The engine wasn't just loud, it had presence. It filled every tunnel, every street, every racetrack with its voice. And to handle that power, Lamborghini developed a lightning-fast, independent shifting rod gearbox, ISR for short. It wasn't dual clutch smooth, it was brutal, mechanical, like a race car. Each shift slammed into place like a sledgehammer, making the Aventador feel raw, untamed, alive. This V12 wasn't just an engine, it was the soul of the car. And in an age where everything was going turbo and quiet, it stood tall as a defiant, mechanical middle finger to the future. The Aventador wasn't just a powerhouse on paper, it was a weapon on the road. This wasn't a car you drove casually. It demanded your attention, your respect. Every input, steering, throttle, braking, was met with a brutal, immediate reaction. Pointed at a corner, and it felt like a guided missile all-wheel drive, pulling it through the apex. Magnetorological suspension, keeping it planted. On a mountain pass, it danced like something half its size, and then unleashed hell on the straights. But make no mistake, this wasn't a precision scalpel like a McLaren. The Aventador was a hammer, loud, violent, full of drama. Every shift hit with force. The engine screamed, the chassis twisted. It was as much a theatrical experience as it was performance. And when you opened it up on track, it felt like all the raw DNA of Lamborghini's racing past had been poured into it. It wasn't perfect. Some said the steering lacked feel. Others criticized the ISR gearbox for being too harsh. But none of that mattered when you were behind the wheel, engine howling, chasing the horizon. The Aventador wasn't about clinical lap times. It was about emotion, about scaring you a little, about making you feel something real. And in a world going quiet and tame, it reminded us of what driving could still be. The Aventador wasn't just a single car. It was a whole era dynasty of ever more extreme variants. It began with the LP 704 in 2011, 700 horsepower. Four-wheel drive, a carbon fiber monocoque, and a silhouette that looked like it came from a sci-fi future. But Lamborghini didn't stop there. In 2015, they turned up the insanity with the Aventador SV Super Veloce. It shed weight, added aero, bumped the power to 750 horsepower, and screamed all the way to 500 RPM. It was raw, violent, and utterly addictive. Then came the SVJ Jada. Nürburgring conquering. Active aerodynamics, wild styling, 770 horsepower. It wasn't just brutal, it was clever. It was the most advanced Aventador yet. But the real crown jewels? The limited editions. The Centenario honoring Ferruccio Lamborghini's 100th birthday, 770 horsepower, 40 units only. The Venenoa track-focused spaceship with street plates. Just a handful built, and each one a rolling sculpture of insanity. The Sion, a step into the future with hybrid tech, but still centered around that legendary V12. And finally, the Ultimate. The final evolution, 780 horsepower. A farewell to pure V12s with no electric interference. Each variant had its own character. Each pushed the Aventador further. And together, they built a legacy that few cars in history can rival. The Aventador wasn't just the end of an era, it defined it. It stood tall in a decade where the world went quieter, safer, and more digital. While others downsized or hybridized, Lamborghini doubled down on drama, emotion, and madness. It wasn't perfect. The gearbox was brutal, the cabin was tight, and it made no apologies for any of it. But that was the point. It reminded us why we fell in love with supercars in the first place. Because they're not just machines, they're statements, experiences, icons. Over 11 years, it thundered across the world in every form, from posters and paddocks to rap videos and racetracks. It made kids dream. It made purists argue. It made history. And in 2022, with the Aventador Ultime, Lamborghini said goodbye to the pure, naturally aspirated V12, a final, glorious roar before silence. The Aventador is gone, but legends never really die. If you love legendary cars like the Aventador and want to keep discovering iconic machines, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Comment below with your favorite Lamborghini and let's keep the conversation going. More epic car content is on the way.